a lot of the criticism that people give with an Athlos is it's too much of a party and it's too much of a let's just show up and celebrate the women type of thing, not so much like heavy duty track and field, even though we got some good performances. But, for the most part, some of them came and ran just to show up to get a check and just pull up and have fun. And, it was basically like an extended off season.
Yeah. I mean, they had a Sierra concert.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that for all the pro leagues, pick a sport, any sport, soccer, MMA, basketball, football, baseball. I mean, like, all you have to do is set up guardrails that say, these are the people who are the pros because they're on my stage. And these are the ones who are not. They're not on my stage. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Track and field doesn't have any space. I see college kids on the Diamond League. I've seen them in lanes wearing college kits. So at that point, don't tell me the Diamond might have pro elements.
Yeah.
But it can't be a pro league. By definition, if you're letting non-pros in.
Let's start with Athlos, since it's the last one that happened. Kind of was the crescendo of the season.
Well, Athlos year 2. I mean, we saw it 2 years in a row. So I think I would say this one, I don't know if some people say it was bigger and better. And I guess maybe you could say that because they kept the momentum from the first one and carried it forward into, taking, I'll say, the spectacle and maintaining it and perhaps even elevating it, which was a little interesting because they pulled that off without actually, I guess, like, what's the word? Like the field in terms of like the big names. Some people were supposed to run, then didn't run. Then there are those who were affiliated but didn't run. There were those who were never ever supposed to run. We just wish we would have seen them. Yeah. So like there's that piece because track and field has been that for so long. So I think what Athlos has nailed, I'll say this much, because everything has positives and negatives. But I think the thing that they nailed so far is that I'll say this. This is how I'm clarifying my statements. If you ever wanted to know what a track and field all-star game looks like, it looks like Athlos.
Okay.
That's what I think they've nailed. Now, everything else, like there's conversations we had on a bunch of different things because I have a very, detailed or analytical version. And again, I'm one guy. It's just that I don't come from the track community. Right. Like while you were running World Juniors, I was hooping.
Yeah.
Like that's where I came from.
Yeah.
So when I look at our sport, I just see an infrastructure issue. Everybody else thinks we have an exposure issue. I don't think that's the problem. It's an infrastructure issue. If you don't cook the meat well, it don't matter what sauce or what seasoning you put on it.
Yeah.
And we haven't cooked a strong enough core meal, or for that matter, even just the meat. I don't think it's been cooked well enough in the pro segment.
Right.
But Athlos nailed, to me, at the bare minimum, I can say, like, if you take what they just gave us and use that same framework and say this is an all-star game, we have it.
Okay.
So that's my review on Athlos from year 1 to year 2.
Well, okay, so you're comparing it to the all-star game, but to me, like, that could be a good and a bad thing. It could be good in the sense that you're gathering everybody and it's like a spectacle and it's something that people want to watch and it's entertaining. But it could be bad in the sense that if you compare it to like the NBA All-Star game, people don't really try that hard, and that's the thing is they don't think it's real basketball. And then the NFL is a joke now. It's like flag football. So, I think a lot of the criticism that people give with an Athlos is it's too much of a party and it's too much of a let's just show up and celebrate the women type of thing, not so much like heavy duty track and field, even though we got some good performances. Like Tara Davis-Woodall jumped out the pit, she tied the world lead, and Brittany Brown PR'd. But, for the most part, some of them came and ran just to show up to get a check and just pull up and have fun. And, it was basically like an extended off season. Just
yeah. I mean, they had a Sierra concert.
Yeah. Yeah. Sierra concert, they wanted to get a free front row ticket. But, if we want to expand this thing going into year 3, and, Alexis has been saying that, like, he wants this to actually be a legit thing for track and field and revolutionize it on the pro side. They're coming with the team-based aspect next year. So what can they do for them to be taken more seriously?
What they can do and what they will do are two different things.
Okay.
So what they've spoken about, because I tried to listen closely when he was on Ready, Set, Go. So, for those who didn't watch it, Alexis Ohanian went on Ready, Set, Go. He gave it to Rodney and to Justin and, broke things down. He went way more in depth than I thought he would, to be quite frank.
Right.
And I was wondering, like, where is he going to go with this hour? And he went there to some degree. He didn't give us, I would say, particulars, but he gave us an overview. So I understand his vision for the Formula One of track and field. And I'm like, okay, I could get behind that. But all of these things that we're talking about, whether it's Athlos or Grand Slam, which we'll get to in a different, moment, everybody has a vision. And I can kind of see where they're getting the idea that that thing could be the solution. But there are too many variables that they cannot control. That as a result, you're kind of betting that these things will go your way.
Right.
So for the league, like for example, the whole October thing, this is me. I'm gonna be crazy for a moment. So you tell me if you think this is gonna happen.
Okay.
Do you actually believe? Because this is how it works. The only way Athlos becomes a pro league that is respected is you have to get the athletes to show up and run like it matters. Now, so far I'm on base.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, so that means it can't be a warm up for Worlds.
Yeah.
And it can't be a thing we're ramping down like Worlds already happened. I'm just on a victory lap tour.
Yeah.
Nobody else's pro sport that is a pro sport looks like this. Like when you're a pro, I'm gonna say the offensive part out loud. You're supposed to be like, I guess take pride in the pro part. Like that's how it goes. That means you do things that only pros do. When you show up to World and there's a college kid and a high school kid, and so like let's focus on the women. I lost some respect for the World Championships as a pro product, aside from the fact that it's not actually. When I realized that, because I'm the guy who does high school national rankings, and I saw Adeja Hodge, shout out to her, who was a high school recruit. She's running for Florida-based high school. She goes over to the Olympics and comes back to American high school. So she run not for America. She's running for British Virgin Islands.
Yeah,
so she comes back to America. She was a semifinalist at the Olympics. Like repechage rounds, all of that. So she gets that far, goes back to high school, runs through the season, and then loses to a girl who's still a high school. At that time, she was a high school sophomore, about to go up to junior year. I mean, whatever. She loses to her at the New Balance Outdoor National Meet. Remember, you an Olympian.
Yeah.
And she lost to a high school girl who's like 15.
Yeah.
And then she goes to Worlds.
Yep.
So don't tell me we're watching the best pros, because we're not.
Okay.
We weren't even watching the best high school girl.
But do you consider Worlds and Olympics to be professional? Because I don't. I think they're separate. Because you can have amateurs go there and then still be in high school or college of what we've seen. So I don't put them in the same bucket, even though a lot of people blur the two. I think that's what holds us back from being seen as an actual professional league, is that blurred line of what's actually professional.
I mean, Kyra Jefferson said it. I don't know if you heard her quote, which was, "Track and field is not a pro sport. It's an amateur sport with professional athletes in it." And then Noah Lyles, he said it the same way on their podcast Beyond the Records. Him and Rye was like, "I'm a pro athlete," and like, "What do you mean I'm a pro? I get paid to run track." And he's like, "What do you mean? Like we're general contractors. Like we're not pros. Like not in the grand scheme." Like I just always said that like. It's pretty clear that for all the pro leagues, pick a sport, any sport, soccer, MMA, basketball, football, baseball. I mean, like all you have to do is set up guardrails that say, these are the people who are the pros because they're on my stage. And these are the ones who are not. They're not on my stage. It's that simple. Yeah. Track and field doesn't have any space. I see college kids on the Diamond League. I've seen them in lanes wearing college kits. So at that point, don't tell me the Diamond might have pro elements. Yeah. But it can't be a pro league. By definition, if you're letting non-pros in. That's why I think like having those barriers, that I think once those barriers are up, the athletes have to take pride in being in that thing. Right. They can't go out and run and then say, I'm warming up for something else. And that's the culture shift that track is going to struggle with from the top down. That's why I think it might have to happen from the bottom up. Because from the top down, it's like, especially if you're not American, because we have just way too much talent. So for us, it's easier to kind of lead an insurrection in theory from the bottom. But like I know for other nations, and maybe you can speak to this, because I recognize that to some degree, like perhaps you're almost like a national hero in Canada. It's like, hey, they brought the gold home to Canada.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like Noah Lau did not bring anything home to us with that 4x1 victory. Just being real. That was for him and his sponsor. Nobody cared that they won. Like when I say nobody, I mean it was like a blurb on ESPN under the Olympic sports section. So it didn't remember. ESPN doesn't even have a track and field widget. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They got like 29 options. I counted.
Yeah.
When you click on show all sports, and track is not one of them.
So they don't even have an Olympics section?
Like they have an Olympic sports section, of which, like when Worlds was going on, because I was tracking all of this, I'm watching, news stories for, who's going to be on the bobsled team. And what's happening at Eurobasket.
Damn.
And all of that. Like all of that is showing up while y'all are running. Remember, Cole Hocker wins the 5K. He didn't even get a blurb.
Yeah.
They never mentioned him on ESPN. He won gold.
Yeah.
And they said nothing. Like, because they're only tracking the big stories. Like, Melissa Jefferson Wooden ran so fast that they had to, at some point, like, say her name.
Okay.
But they would rather just because, like, what's happening is we're kind of following individuals who we think have a high Q rating. This is what I'm deducing analytically. So it's like, Sha'Carri losing a race is more of a story than someone else winning.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's problematic, but it's not her fault. It's just the lack of infrastructure. That's why everybody thinks we need to get casual fans. We don't need casual fans. We need actual fans who want to watch track to have something to watch. Trust me. If all the fast people got together and said, we're all going to run over here, we'd watch. That's all you got to do. Like, all y'all just got to decide where you're going, and our eyes will go there.
Yeah. So, well, let's get back to the Grand Slam. We can do it like this. So, what do you think Grand Slam track did right versus what they could learn from? Like, compare and contrast them versus Athlos. Like, what did each one do right? Aside from, obviously, well, I mean, you can include that, but like paying the athletes right away. Obviously, that's a huge
conversation.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. But even with that, like, a lot of people don't understand that, like, the entire pro track and field world pays late. And I put out a tweet. Matter of fact, let me throw it up, because I have that graphic. Because I feel like when I put that out, a lot of people had no idea that they all pay late. And I don't know. I can't find where I put it, but is this it? No. Anyways, forget it. I basically just said that
hey,
all
I
the
know
leagues
you
pay
ain't
late.
lying, but they gonna have to take your word for it. For the
Yeah, they all pay late. I said basically I said Diamond League watching Grand Slam track take all the heat for paying late when they've been paying small prize purses late for years. And a lot of people were replying to that like they had no idea that the Diamond League plays late. They just assumed that it was on time, especially since it's like peanuts compared to what Grand Slam was offering. But right now, the status quo in track and field is you're going to get your money late. So when you run a race and you win your prize money, you don't expect that for at least like month and a half to like 3 months. That's just the norm. So when Athlos came with the Cash App stuff, that was like a game changer. And I know they're being a little petty, trying to like throw shade at Grand Slam for their problems that they had, but like that was actually a huge thing to actually makes us more professional. So I think that's one thing that they did do well. What else do you think that Athlos did well that Grand Slam can learn from, and vice versa, in terms of like the viewer experience? What did you like better about each one?
Well, let's go back to the money even, because that's a separate, once you frame the Cash App thing, and I haven't said this part on camera, so here we go. Let's do this. All right. Strap on your seatbelts. In track and field, here's the joke of where we're starting the negotiations from. So let's put the facts on the board. Let's put them on the board. How much money did Brittany Brown make for winning 2 races? What, with 120K plus a crown or 2, right?
Yep, 2 crowns.
Shout out to her. All right. Now, we've established that. How much money is LeBron about to make for every game he's not going to play?
I couldn't
Now
even
that
tell
he's
you.
out.
I
He's
couldn't
going to
even
make 4 times that for not playing games because he
Right.
has a salary.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I'm not going to consider Cash App a victory because she had to
Really?
win to get that money.
Okay.
So what if she didn't win? What if she was
She
a
didn't
hundredth
get
of
it.
a second too slow in that 100? Then what?
She didn't get
That
it.
money wouldn't look the same way.
No.
Again, pro sports don't work like that.
Interesting.
That's not how it goes. You don't
That's
have
right. That's true.
if I'm already the thing is the people came to watch Sha'Carri. Let's just play this out using her as an argument in the women's world.
Okay.
They're here to watch her.
Yeah.
That's what the appearance fees were for, right?
Right.
But the appearance fee isn't for me as a fan.
No.
It's for her.
Yeah.
Now, the reason we're doing appearance fees is because there's no league, there's no structure, there's no collective bargaining, there's no none of these things are in place.
Yeah.
And all of that's going to happen outside of world athletics. World
Right.
athletics been doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to put on international competition. The difference is literally nobody has figured out how to do anything besides them. And whenever they try to copy something or try to create something, they try to do it in alignment with them. But
Yeah.
as far as this money piece is concerned, we're getting excited over running our behinds off to make less money than somebody else can get to not play.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He doesn't have when he's out injured, he's never going to play that game. That game's done. It's over.
Yeah.
He's not going to play that game, and it's still going to hit his account. And guess what? He's going to get paid on the 1st and the 15th.
Yeah.
So
that could be something that you give Grand Slam track an advantage over because they paid all their racers. Basically, they show up and they get paid no matter how well they do. As long as they show up, they get their fee that they agreed upon before the season. So that's as close to a salary as we've got.
Yeah, I think that was a step in the right direction with where they were trying to go.
Yeah.
But I think, to get to the away from the money, just the core experience, I think Athlos did the fanfare and the hype and the excitement on 10. Do I think that's sustainable? I don't. And when I say sustainable, I mean, how do I put this? Let's just say that they did this every meet. Every meet was going to be a party. Every meet was going to be, Ciara and, what was the
Meg Thee Stallion.
Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion. Every meet's going to be that. Let's just say that's what we did.
Okay.
Eventually it will get stale.
Yeah.
It won't maintain the novelty factor is what made it we got to be there. Trust me, Marquez Brownlee and all them folk who showed up ain't coming every single time you do this if y'all want to do this week in, week out.
Yeah.
It gets stale really fast. So I think GST as a track product, 2 things can be true. Where they struggled with viewership, that is true. They struggled with getting live fans who would pay to come. That is true. But it's also true that they gave us the best track product, professional track product from the American context. Let me say that, from the American context, that you can watch from start to finish as a sporting event.
I agree.
I think Grand Slam, I'll leave that part out. I even got to go there. I'll just say that part, I think they nailed as far as they were trying to build something that was taking us towards consistent professional competition where you actually came to watch track. I'm going to say the offensive part out loud. People did not come to Athlos to watch track. That's not why everybody was there. Some people did. That's not why everybody was there. It was an event. It was a party. It was the place to be. It didn't matter who was in the lanes at that point. It had been hyped. It had been pushed. You call in your contacts. Oh, this person's coming. That one's coming. It was an all-star game.
Yeah.
For an all-star game, I think they killed it.
Yeah.
And the all-star weekend in the NBA is one of their biggest events.
Yeah.
Even though the NBA players stopped caring. But it's still
people still want to come to see the stars. They still want to see Steph Curry in person and LeBron and KD.
Yeah. If everything, that's why I'm they gave us that energy, but GST was not trying to be an all-star game. They were trying to actually give us real competition. So I think that's kind of where they both, maybe Athlos did more of the icing on the cake, but I think Grand Slam track baked a better cake, both of which have had flaws. Both, and a lot of that came because they were trying to be way too friendly to the current establishment, which is understandable. I totally understand why they felt they needed to do so and try to figure out how to move within that system. That's why I said if you're gonna, if you got to know where the end goal is, The end goal is that all the real pros need to be able to wake up in the morning in the beginning of January and say, we are preparing for this, that, and the third. These are all professional events. I know that when I show up here, I'm getting paid. Yeah, we can add bonuses and stuff in there for winning, but it needs to basically every race needs to be a race of consequence. There are no warm-ups, no more scrimmages. Shut that down. Don't nobody want to watch y'all run in the Continental Tour and Miramar. No, nobody want to see this. These are just live scrimmages. That's what they are. And we're pretending that they're races. They're not. Because the only race that matters, everybody keeps telling me, is the Worlds. Am I missing something here? Worlds and Olympics are the things that matter.
Yeah.
Because in 2023, if I'm remembering correctly, Noah Lyles barely won any 100-meter races until that final.
He got third at trials. He barely made the team.
But he opened the season losing to a high school kid. In a sprint series meet.
Yeah.
Why is the world champion in the 100 running with a high schooler at a sprint series meet? Make sense. Why is the Diamond League final champion this year losing to a high school kid at a sprint series meet? Again, this is where where we've been. Like, the guardrails need to come up. So GST, I think, did that piece, and I think Athlos did the other side.
Okay. So if you could grade them, what would you give each one?
Actually, you know what? Because you've been asking me a lot of questions. I'm going to turn that one back. What would you give?
Okay. I would give Athlos, if I'm just going off of track and field, I would give Athlos a B plus.
Okay, so like a 7.5 or 8?
As a what?
Like out of 10, that's like a 7.5, 8?
B plus. Yeah, look at it. I guess that's like an 8.
Wow.
Because, no, I give him an 8.5. So what's that? An A minus?
8.5. Well, I mean, it depends. I feel like when you're on a 1 to 10 scale, like I kind of look at it differently than like the letter grades.
Yeah,
but I feel you. Okay.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of things right, and I'm curious to see how next year looks with the team product, which is where I'm going to go after this. But I think the only, like, I'll just focus on the criticisms because I've already given them their praise. Them being in October just screams exhibition to me. You know, like, when everyone's coming into the meet expecting everyone to be like, you know, I don't know what shape they're going to be in. It's just about, you know, having fun, make sure you don't get injured. And then you got athletes pulling out because they don't want to overextend themselves. Like, Melissa definitely wanted to run. She's been talking about that all season long. But then after she did what she did at Worlds, you know, I'm sure coach got in her ear, her agent, or whoever, and was like, hey, we don't need to risk it. We don't need to be running there. And, you know, she had to make a business decision. Yeah, she still pulled up and, you know, was giving interviews and stuff. You know, kudos to her and Athlos for still getting her involved. But, like, I would have loved to see her continue to run on higher stakes. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather see her run at Athlos for 60 bands where it's like a higher prize purse. And, you know, I think the higher the money, the more the stakes. Like, it seems like they take it more seriously. At least that's the prevailing thought that you would expect. Like, you know, when you pull up to a Diamond League, you're taking more seriously than you go to Claremont because there's money on the line. But I think because it's in October, that same competitive mentality wasn't there. So like a Messiah Russell, she definitely wanted to win because she wanted revenge for last year. You could see it in her eyes that she wanted to compete. But I think in certain events, you didn't get that, where they were just like, you know, I'm just going to show up and run whatever I got. I didn't really train for this, and I don't really care if I lose. And I don't like that element. I want this to actually matter, you know? So that's why I can't give it higher than an 8.5. Like, all the entertainment stuff, the fun, the partying, you know, the intro videos and the atmosphere, all that was great. Being in Times Square for the long jump, giving them a little love. I loved all that. But like, in terms of just pure track and field, you know, like, some people came and took it seriously. Like, Brittany Brown clearly was on a bean. She wanted that money. But then you got people in the race that were just kind of like mailing it in. And
she understood the assignment, Brittany Brown.
Right. And there's a lot of money.
In the past, she profited from it last year. She's like, oh, we could do this again?
Right. She doubled last year and she doubled again this year. She clearly is like, all right, let me get this back.
Like, I don't even know why they do that.
I don't know, but
it's unfair. Nobody, am I right? Nobody else did.
Talu did.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at that point, you're giving away money. I mean, like,
but I think the reason why a lot of athletes didn't run, or at least not let me not say a lot, but like a Sha'Carri or a Melissa didn't run is because it's in October. So just that simple move of switching it into a time during the calendar where everyone's fit, everyone's showing up, everyone's serious about it, adds more gravitas to the meet. Grand Slam track, I would give a 9, so slightly higher, because I think in terms of track and field, they, like you said, were a more polished product. People actually understood a little bit more what this was in terms of like competitive track and field, because you had the racer element where you had people who you knew were going to show up to each one. And then you had the challengers, which gave a little bit of a surprise element, where it's like, okay, who's going to come and be a challenger? It would have been nice if you could have more people on board with that. Like if some more of the stars were challengers, then it would have been really popping. But I think, in its debut season, people were trying to feel it out, and people are obviously like Arai was on the podcast talking about, I don't know how they're going to sustain themselves with this model. And so people were skeptical. So maybe that's why they didn't, get on board fully. They wanted to see how it went. But for the stars who did show up, they all loved it. And I went to Philly, and it was a great meet. The atmosphere was great. I love the fact that they like made it very athlete centered. With the social media and getting your content real quick so you can post, and they just did a lot of little things right. That is simple stuff, but like for the athletes, it's a huge upgrade versus what we've been getting overseas. And just having meets in America, not having to get on a 8-hour plane ride going to Asia or going to Europe, having to compete for 10,000 at most, which isn't even really 10,000 when you take off the taxes and the agent fees. It just doesn't make sense to go all the way over there. So like having this opportunity, I would give them a 9. Obviously it wasn't perfect, and I have to dock them a little bit for not being able to have LA. That's poor planning. But just a pure like track and field, when we did get that product, I think it was slightly better than Athlos.
Yeah, I mean, I respect how you see it, and I can understand like all the athletes who I speak to are in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you all have perspective that obviously I don't have because you're in it. But then again, because I'm outside of it,
yeah,
I see it from dropped back. So because I know what I think a 10 is, and I'll reverse engineer again for the people in the back. Okay. This is what a 10 is. Does anybody think that the World Championship final with the race people were not taken seriously?
No.
So if you were in that 4x1 final, that 100 final, that 200 final, or insert event here,
that was it. Yeah.
You were going all out.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a little bit of a nick, but you was like, look, it's Worlds.
Yeah.
It's the final.
Yeah.
We gonna go.
Yeah.
Put some icy hot on it if you have to.
Yeah.
Like, let's roll.
Cut it off. Let me go. Put me back in.
Right. So if that's if that's a 10, if that's on competition.
Right.
And I'll actually even argue it's not a 10. Olympics is a 10. World is a 9.
Okay.
And
from the audience standpoint?
I mean, on both accounts. Because okay, let's be real. If you just pulled up in the Olympic Games and won golds, but more or less was making finals, didn't really win much in the Worlds. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's your report. Are you still going to go down as one of the greats because you did in 2 Olympics? Yes.
Yeah.
So all you really got to do is get it right in LA 2028. And now I'm going to say this part. I'm not trying to call people out. I understand why it was said, but here's the problem. I turn on the coverage because I have Peacock. I'm watching the stream, and I'm turning on the coverage to watch the World start. This is the beginning of it. And you know how they do like the opening with Otto and like the team. And it wasn't Otto saying it, but was one of the people who is on. I guess the name is escaping me at the moment. But like if I saw him, like I could identify. So the point is, the language they used was, this championship is one of the first major steps on the way to LA 2028. So what you just announced is I'm about to watch the JV championship. This ain't the real.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying the quiet part out loud. Yeah.
They said it out. Now, does it have to be that? No.
No.
But then let me back up. I looked at other sports and I started determining how they were doing it. Remember, they have a World Cup for basketball, but it ain't the Olympics.
Nope.
America sends our JV. That's what we do. when the world championship for basketball comes, we send our JV. No
Mhm.
shade, just being honest. Paolo Banchero, whoever else, y'all could go. But when the Olympics came, Steph
The
Curry.
Avengers.
Like, yeah, we sent the Avengers. But we sent the JV when
Yeah.
we went to the world championship. So if
Mhm.
that's a 10 and not, I can't put GST and them that high.
Okay.
Because I got to know what we were trying to reach for. To
Fair
give me
enough.
a 10, I'd have to see a pro product where it felt like they were trying that hard.
Okay.
And I know they weren't.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well,
so I'd say
yeah.
Athlos, I'm gonna give it. I mean, I'm gonna be generous. I'll give them a 6.
Okay.
But if that's the scale, that was a 6 because you can't have all these people
Yeah.
not pulling up. I'm supposed to pull up. I'm not pulling up. Whatever.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Like, and this is not a disrespect. I'm just pointing it out. If
Mhm.
Athlos mattered, Gabby Thomas would have ran if she were able to. She could have missed Worlds and still came back for that because that's what pros do. Remember the
Megan
WNBA?
Tapper did that.
Yeah, like the WNBA goes on break.
Yeah.
For the Olympics. They
Mhm.
do. They take a break and then come back and have their season.
Mhm.
So if you were on the Olympic team for the Team USA or whatever, and you were a WNBA player, and somehow you got hurt, you would get healthy and then come back and play the rest of your season.
Yeah.
So that's how we know it can't be that. And so I'd give it a 6. And I'm looking at the comments. I was trying to be generous. So I wanted to say 5.5, but I feel like they're going to really come for me. So I was like, oh, it's fine. Okay, I'll give them a 6. And
Yeah.
GST, I would say, is definitely higher, but I'm actually only going to give it a 7,
Okay.
maybe 7.5, because like I do see I feel like the gap between Athlos and that on importance or what the race is represented is just that even I think I still have to say 7, and the reason is because I see the GST model. I see how a few different changes to that model severely changes how everybody understands what it was,
Yeah.
and the product now goes to that top tier.
Okay.
But anything that becomes one-off events, unless you are going to announce and market and push and get the athletes on board to believe that one-off event is the event,
Mhm.
and I think that's what hurt Athlos to me. If not that hurt them, as in like they did it to themselves, but like I think that was the glitch where I don't think anybody really believed that this race mattered, although it had a bunch of money behind it, and that's
Yeah.
why I lean away from the money being the stakes
Gotcha.
because nobody was dogging it at Worlds. They all tried,
Mhm.
whereas Amy Hunt clearly got up for Worlds, but I don't think Amy Hunt came in her best form for Athlos.
Mhm.
And I think she was content with that. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think she went to sleep at night like, man, I really didn't run my best race at Athlos. I think she's like,
Mhm.
I ran Athlos.
But okay, so do you what would it take? Because I agree with your take, and from that perspective, yeah, I would have to lower my rankings for sure, like a lot, probably closer to what you gave them. But I was coming from, I guess, the status quo
Yeah.
and how much it was. That's why mine are so much higher. But from what you said, yeah, it makes sense. But do you think that a lot of people take worlds more seriously, worlds specifically, not the Olympics, but worlds, because it's written in the contracts that you get the bonuses, and that like if you go back to the Diamond League, like having a medal changes everything for you. So if you get it right at like let's say you did what Brittany Brown did at Athlos, but then you don't medal at World Championships next year when you come back, your profile isn't elevated like it is if you win the World Championships, like Amy Hunt did. Like Amy Hunt's stock is still going to be higher even though she got cooked at Athlos.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, and you're an athlete, so you can speak to it from the inside. I think what the temperature on the ground from the athletes I speak to is like 100% that the contract structures are weighted that way. But
Yeah.
again, the contract structures will catch up when they are forced to catch up.
Right.
Nike ain't changing how they move.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be backed into a corner to do so. But remember,
Mhm.
the athletes have the power, but
Yeah.
they only have it when they move together. They
Which is
don't have power when
never.
they move independently. So
Yeah.
then how do we do that? And because of the internationalized model and how things, because everybody's thinking that we're all in this together, but no, we're not. I'm
No.
sorry. What they're doing in Australia and what they're doing in Africa and the different parts of the continent, what they're doing, like everybody's in, I think Canada and America run closer together for obvious reasons.
Just
Like,
geographically.
yeah, geographically, even like some people train out of America, like yourself. Like, I think it's easier to probably like talk to that crew and like get them on a page.
Yeah.
But like a movement has to, because like it's okay that the whole world doesn't look identical
Mhm.
when we do pro track. That's okay. That's all right. Remember, the NBA is an American league. We have Chinese professional basketball. They got all these teams over in Europe. They got teams all over the world. Teams in the
Mhm.
Philippines.
Mhm.
So it's not so much about like they're all doing all these leagues have slightly different things about them, and the NBA is focused on their constituency, their market, and building a product that. And guess what? The thing about the NBA, and this is going to be the hardest thing for the track and field purists, but it won't matter if all the stars are all in one day. Then it won't matter. Everybody will just go with that. Where the NBA leaned away from the integrity of pure basketball to make a more engaging product.
Mhm.
And what it does is it actually complicates their players. Like it complicates their ability to play on the world stage
Yeah.
because their game doesn't match that game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think Brad Beal said it, like a bunch, like there are NBA guys who've spoken and been like, when I went to play FIBA, international basketball, I had no idea how
Mhm.
different the way they play. And there are guys in the NBA, here's the next thing, who aren't standouts in the NBA, and we wonder why they're so good in international. It's like, this is a different game.
It is.
It's a different style of play.
Mhm.
But if y'all come to this court with these rules, I'm about to give you this work.
Right.
And pro track would have to be able to move like that, where
Mm.
it's still track. We're still running races. It's just, it's not going to look like the Olympic product, but we're still all in.
Yeah.
So what does it look like for your think about the most elites? What does it look like for Sidney McLaughlin Levrone to be all in a different model? Because we already know what this model is. It basically feels like, I mean, now that the 400 is over, because that was a big race, her 400, that the 1, 2, 3. But now that
Yeah.
it's over, we're basically going to be watching Sydney run time trials again.
Yeah. Especially in 2026.
And then here's the worst part about it. With Sydney McLaughlin Levrone, she's so talented. Her light shines so brightly, it ends up dimming the light of everybody else. Good luck out there trying to sell a 400-meter dash race without her, Nasser, or Paulino. Good luck.
Mhm. I mean, the entire 400-meter hurdles lost so much luster with her out of it. You know, it was just like, okay, Femke Bowl, who's going to get second or third? But like all the Diamond Leagues during the circuit, like Femke Bowl has been winning. She's on like a 30 meet streak or something like that in the 400 hurdles. So much so that even she's moving events now. Like she's doing like, all right, I won enough. I'm going to the 8 now. This is, you know, it's tough.
Yeah, so those are I mean, again, like on the baselines, like but I feel like you had something you were headed to, so I don't want to stop the train.
Yeah. So hold on, let me pull my notes again. I was gonna ask. So, do you think we need every star in these meets for it to be successful? So we had Tara Davis Woodhull this year. Last year we had Gabby running, and I think if we talk about like the big 5 on the women's side in America, it would be now Melissa Jefferson Wooden, Sha'Carri, Tara Davis Woodhull, Sydney, and who did I leave out? Did I say Gabby?
Oh, you did, yeah.
Okay, Gabby, Tara, Sydney, Sha'Carri, Melissa.
I mean, Julian
We had
most certainly on talent belongs up there.
who?
Julian Alfred on talent, of course, belongs up there.
Well, I was just going off Americans, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah. That's fair. She trained out of America, so
yeah. But I mean, you can include.
You're right. You're saying just the American athlete. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really anybody. But I was just thinking, like, who would actually move the needle in America? And you can include international athletes, but I don't know. Would you include Julian in that? And if you're talking about like profile, like, I mean, yeah, she's an Olympic champion. But...
Okay, not in America, no. I mean, but again, they're the cap on this individualized model and how far it can go. So I mean, maybe maybe you see it similarly, but the Grand Slam track vision, because when they first explained it to me, I was like, that ain't gonna work. I ain't gonna cap. That's what I thought. And then I saw it, and I was like I saw the first meet, and I was like, I see what you're trying to accomplish. Because when they first broke it down, I was like, I just don't see this. Right. I don't see this being the next. And this is like first press conference. And then when I saw it, again, forget about the fans and everything. Like the Jamaica meet, when I saw it, I was like, I see where you're trying to accomplish. Grand Slam could have worked, but and it might still. But I'm gonna tell you the only way I think it does work.
Mhm.
And I think, okay, let me choose my words carefully. I have on good authority. That's the best way I can put it. I have on good authority that the long-term vision was to get to a specific point. And that
Okay.
point was, you remember that's in the title, Grand Slam Track.
Right.
Those meets were supposed to become the Grand Slams of professional track. The moment where all the pros
Mhm.
want to be on the track, meaning forget about every other race that happened in the world this year that ain't
Mhm.
these.
Mhm.
If I am a pro, the only meets I got to run
Other
are the
Grand
Grand
Slam.
Slams. I just
Yeah.
want to get a lane. Just do whatever you got to do to make sure that when the Grand Slams go,
Yeah.
you're on in those lanes. And then you go run for the big money and you do it on the big stage. The world's going to see it. It's going to be a big track product. Yeah, the world championships is a separate thing. But as far as, you know, to step in the ring and throw hands or the pro, that was the vision. And that vision holds up if everybody's in agreement that these lanes mattered.
Mm.
What happened from the start of Grand Slam track on down was that there were always athletes who didn't agree. They called people, and some of the people said no.
Yeah.
Some hung up the phone. Some said, I'm going to go run over here or over there on the same weekend
Mhm.
in a meet that basically won't pay me anything because I'm preparing for Worlds. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not saying names, but you can assume some of the names I'm talking about. And I
Yeah.
get why they did what they did.
Mhm.
But that wasn't the vision. So the moment that started happening, before the meets even went, I still caught a glimpse of where they were going, but I knew you couldn't get there without the stars. So
Yeah.
that was that model. It could have worked, and it still could work, but it's
Mhm.
only going to work if, like, okay, let's take the long hurdles for the men, for example. Y'all really gave me Allison dos Santos and fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Because we all know there's 3 men in the world who all are competing with each other. Now, if
Mhm.
the Grand Slams gave me those same 3 men,
Yeah.
and even if they just kept running 4 times, because everybody else is like, well, I got to get a lane to run with them. And they went in there and was, throwing hands, for lack of a better term, between the 2 events. You see how like that can draw people.
Yep.
But when Allison comes by himself,
Mhm.
and like at that point, and he lost one at the end in Philly. But at the end of the day, no one really cared because it wasn't a Grand Slam anymore.
Yeah.
It was just 2 races with some points that we were doing. Like we were doing it, but it wasn't. So I mean, I don't know if that kind of like just for what they were doing, like I saw how their vision could have achieved if
Yeah.
everybody was. The thing is, all the athletes would have had, because if you're missing a Grand Slam, you're missing it for one of 2 reasons: they didn't invite you, or you're hurt.
So it
That
kind of
should be the
sounds like
only
you're
reason
saying
why
that it sounds like we do need everybody all hands on deck for it to
for that
matter.
model. That's
Okay.
for that model. I
So
think with
for
unique changes to Grand Slam, we could have solved that problem without the athletes changing what they do.
what would be the model in which you don't rely on everybody pulling up? Because I don't think we're ever going to get consensus like we do at the World Championships or Olympics, where everybody's like, I have to be there. There's always going to be someone who thinks they should be getting more money, or they don't want to go and face them. If they don't have to, they're going to save face. Like, nah, I'm going to wait for the medals. I'm going to peak there. Like, what would it take for everybody to want to peak and just like take it seriously on their calendar? Like, I have to win those meets and be there.
Yeah, well, their model was the 4 slam model, which they did 3 of them,
Yeah.
and the slams were redundant in a sense. Like
Okay.
they were the same thing over and over again. And I'm not talking about switching up the events, and that's not what I mean. It was a redundant product in the grand scheme, but it would have worked if the stars wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Given what you just said, the model that I proposed, and I explained some of this on my channel, like in a more recent video when I was like, okay, if I was going to fix Grand Slam, this is how I would have fixed it. Because I had a very well detailed thought process on what, like, I'm not just throwing crap at the wall.
Right.
So the cliff notes of it is this whole 4 slams model in the 4 cities. We're going to have to rework this.
Okay.
You need to now put it where Grand Slam, if it's going to be a league, okay, how do I make this as simple as possible? If a leagues have something in common, they have champions. So
Mm-hmm.
think like the UFC. UFC has weight classes. They just gave you the weight classes of track and field for the purposes, or track for the purposes of their league. The short sprints, the long sprints. I'm fine with that. I ain't tripping. I'm just take what they're using, but I'm going to build it out and extend it. So granted, they would have ran out of cash perhaps because they already did. But if this is how I would have engineered it, where you needed to have a final slam, that's the championship. That's the moment you want to be in. Whatever you got to do, you got to get in that one. And then the rest of the season is an onboarding ramp to get in there. See, we might be able to get everybody to agree that one matters. When I say everyone, here's the catch. You need to create a system where when an athlete self-selects out, that's a reflection on them, not your product.
Okay.
Right now, it was a reflection on the product, not the athlete. So that's why if you say the Grand Slam champion in the short sprints, he's the best pro sprinter in the world. What are you talking about? He didn't win the world championship. That's fine. We support everybody who goes to worlds. Some of our athletes run in worlds. The world championships is an amazing product. It's an international product. For that matter, they have amateurs who they let in. We don't let amateurs run here. We don't let high school and college kids run here. This is a pro league. And in this league, Kenny Bednarik is the baddest sprinter in the world. And if you think that you're the best pro, step in the ring and throw hands. And if you don't, that's a reflection on you. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you don't think you can beat him across 2 events in a weekend. I don't know what's holding you back. You can go run worlds and run your round and do all of that over there. This is something different because you can win an NBA championship and you can win a world championship. You can win an NBA title. You can win an Olympic gold medal, like in basketball or in these other sports. Like that's how it works. You can do both. You can, like it's not the same thing. So you see how like you have to like the structure of it. It would like the other slams would be qualifying you into that final. So if you win one, you're in. So you may not have to keep running.
Yeah.
If you want to do the whole racer model, like I had a whole bunch of provisions on how you kind of make it work, but you have to set up the system in a way where we know that there's going to be pullouts, we know there's going to be injuries, and at the end of the day, the same way the UFC is going to have a heavyweight title, regardless of, you know, like if you get hurt, we still about to crown the champion.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like this is going to happen with or without you. The train is leaving the station. So you just needed to set it up where when somebody pulls out, it's almost like it's a new opportunity for somebody else to get into the ring and now have a chance to go for the crown. But we've all agreed we're climbing the mountain to get to this one spot. And then from there, you just keep like I have a bunch of details on what it looks like. I mean, you could have done a slam leaderboard where, you know, you get wild cards for the top scorers. So as a result, like when you came into the challenger, so your score would have been on a board where you would have known all the other scores from the other slams, and you would know what the cutoff is to be the last wild card into that final before you run. So now when you come in, it's like, I need to leave here with 12 points.
Okay. So how does this differ from the Diamond League setup?
The reason why it's different from the Diamond League is because no one cares. The Diamond League, like the Diamond League is way too many meets with way too many random fields. You need to lock it down where it's a privilege to get in these lanes. You need to create an incentive structure for everybody to want to get in that final. The only way I think you could actually incentivize them, again, I came up with a lot of provisions. I would have ran the Grand Slam season like this. You would have had 3 slams that looked like what you competed in. The LA Slam perhaps would have been the final. In between the Philly and LA, you would have had to do what I call a qualifier meet. And the final would not have been a 2-event slam. It would have been one-off events in the 100, the 200, the 400, etc. So we're not going to run like the short sprints, long sprint. Like there's going to be a 200-meter champion. The reason why, because I think I can get buy-in where I get it. Athletes like Kashane don't want to double, or at least he wasn't going to do that this year. But this is my thought. If I called Kashane, this is my thought. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. If I call him up and I say, all right, we're going to have our qualifier weekend. The qualifier is for all the athletes who didn't run in a regular slam. If you run in a regular slam, you are now eligible for a wild card for the final. So you already earned you either got in or didn't. All the athletes who didn't come, they are now invited, the best ones in the world. You call them and fill out the lanes for the qualifier in the 100, a qualifier in the 200. It's a one-off race, a one-off 100. Think of it like a podium finish. Top 3, y'all get to the final in the 100. Top 3, y'all get to the final in the 200. When you came to your slam, the reason why I'm separating out the events is, I mean, well, I'll ask you, which do you consider your best event, the 1 or the 2?
The 2.
So you would have been listed as a 200-meter runner when you came to your slam.
Okay.
So you're now competing for a 200-meter final spot. The only way you can get into 2 finals is you would have had to win multiple slams like Kenny.
Mm.
Like you have to claim a final spot.
Yeah.
Like think of like a Noah Lyles where if he doesn't come as a challenger, he's now running the risk that, bro, I got to show up to that qualifier weekend and handle business.
Yeah.
I can't slip now. Whereas
Mhm.
if I come as a challenger, I might get a chance. Well, one, I can see who's going to be on the list for that weekend and be like, oh, I can beat these guys. And I
Mm.
can book my finals ticket right now because now it adds this gamesmanship element of, getting that spot. So like when we come to the second slam, the narrative is going to be Kenny Bednarek has already booked his tickets for the final.
Yeah.
Who's going to be joining him?
Right.
That's the story we're telling. Now, if Kenny's going to
Okay.
run again, if y'all let him win again, he's now taking away an automatic bid from somebody, and we're going to have to go to the wild cards.
I've actually had something similar before the Grand Slam existed and Athlos existed. I thought, how could we revolutionize the Diamond League? And that was one of my ideas: is if you win a Diamond League, you get an automatic bid to the final, and that might make people care more. Um, but again, I think it, like you said, there's too many Diamond League meets for that to matter, and that like I just think it's too long to get everybody's interest carrying along for the entire season. Um, so that's interesting, though. I think something that the Diamond League has that the Grand Slam track and Athos don't, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, is connection to the World Championships. So, for example, like you get the wild card if you win, if you're a Diamond League champion, and that gives more people a reason to care, even though it doesn't really matter much. It still gives a small reason for fans to care about the Diamond League. So, like, if someone like Brittany Brown, who didn't make it out of their trials, goes to the Grand Slam and wins like she did, she gets a ticket now to the World Champs, which is what we saw. Do you think we should keep that model where, like, maybe if you win a Grand Slam and you're a Grand Slam champion, you get a buy into Worlds and have that connection there, or Athlos champion, you get a connection into a buy into Worlds? Or should we get completely away from making Worlds this pinnacle where everyone cares about it, and then just make this its own entity and build that up to supersede the World Championships?
I don't even think it's about. Well, I hear what you're saying. Like the simple answer would be it should be separate. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even think it's about superseding. It's just different. It's two
Just
separate
different.
things.
Okay.
That's the best way to put it. World is over here.
Mm-hmm.
The pro stuff is over there. What I will say is the biggest shift is that the pros who take themselves seriously should not be concerned about worlds anymore.
Mm.
If you want to see, okay, if I'm World Athletics, if the top athletes have concluded they're going to run on a professional circuit and that they don't need me anymore, and that professional circuit has, for lack of a better term, a players union, because now there's an actual league, like for Grand Slam, like for my model, all the athletes who would be a part of Grand Slam would have to declare, like to get, like to be registered as having an option to be in there. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
paperwork you'd have to file to be eligible to run. So
Yeah.
now when we have, an association meeting for all the athletes, we now know who's in it. So now when World Athletics is negotiating, they don't have to talk to every individual athlete or every international federation. We now know all the athletes who are part of this designation. Y'all can vote on who your president is, just like they have a players president for all these other leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can, you see, I'm like, you see how you now have power because you're together, but you
Yeah.
have to come together under a heading that makes sense. So this, because World Athletics would, if they had no choice, if they really were looking at the prospect of losing all these top athletes, because they're like, look, we're going to get paid all this money. We're going to be on national TV. Think from an American context. Like we're gonna now have a launching pad to like show ourselves to the world. Our sponsors will be able to know that our athletes are going to be seen. That's because that's where the contracts and things can start shifting their structure. Because it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're on TV now. They see you go out there and do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that would be like what makes it separate, as in like this is over here, world is over there. I'm not against world. I think it's a great product. I honestly don't even know why the USA's, for example, like yes, I get why we do a trials, but some of these spots we don't need to do a trials for.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like some of these athletes don't need to go to trials.
Yeah.
Like why is Sydney doing a time trial at the USA's? She was already near near the American record holder. She was already undefeated in the Open Four. She'd already beaten the fastest American women when she faced off with them at Prefontaine, and y'all still had her go out there and run a whole bunch of rounds. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
We know that if we want our best team, we should be sending her. So, like, you could have just asked her to just go.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's a different model. It's just that that's how it works in all the other pro sports. If you don't want to do this, you're not going to be a pro sport. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. You will always be an amateur sport with people who get paid.
So that's where I was going to go, because I remember when we had that conversation on the phone, you were saying that we don't need a trials. And at first I was like, of course we need a trials. Like, what do you mean? Like, but I think we're just so entrenched with that mindset that, like, you go to trials, you qualify for the team. That's just the only way we can do it. Even when you said, why do we have 3 medals? You know, like, other sports just have a winner and a loser, but we're on that medal model. We're like, if you get top 3, you get a medal, and that means you did good. So I don't know. I just thought that was a great point that I never really considered. It kind of like changed my mindset of like what a pro track league could look like versus, because I feel like everything right now is like a mini version of the Olympics. Like, they're trying to recreate that same thing where we're all representing our country, following that same model, because it's like the Olympics is so successful. Let's just apply that in mini versions, and they'll love that over and over and over. And it's like, no, it works because it is the Olympics. It's every 4 years. That's what makes it work.
That's what makes it
having mini Olympics doesn't work.
People love the Olympics. They do.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to stop you. It's just the Olympics works for this simple fact. And the comment section can let me know. People like to watch track and field when they feel like they understand it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they understand the Olympics, because I'm looking at the comments. Somebody was talking about, like, even when we were talking about the pro model, like, are some of that might be too confusing. Here's the catch. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of rules in the NBA, the NFL, and so on people don't understand. That's not important. What matters is the product that got delivered to you. You don't care about how we do it. So with the Olympics, people don't know how these kids or these athletes or whoever got to represent their nations. Yeah. They just look out there and see the national colors and say, all right, Jamaica's here. I know Sharika Jackson's not running the 200 at the Olympics. Like, I know the implications, but y'all really think that we watching the best women in the 200. I know that if she ain't here running like herself, we're missing something. And unfortunately, for the way the sport is set up, her not being present on that stage means she was essentially absent to so many people who would have had the chance to appreciate what she was capable of. But I think the Olympic product works well because of what it is. But I don't think that's a track-specific problem or a situation. It's just that track is the only sport that is really, well, the Olympic sports are the ones that have been successful in that model that never innovated much beyond. That's what I would say. Yeah. It's not that because they're Olympic sports, it's almost like we never realized we could be more. And everybody else in the sport realized. Even
from what you said from the beginning, where you're trying to find it under ESPN and we're under Olympic sports. Being under that umbrella, considering us that is so limiting, because we never get outside of that being the aura of track and field. Like, we're not athletics or track and field, our own entity. Like, we don't own the Olympics. So we have no say over like what happens. Like, the World Athletics can make suggestions and be like, hey, we want to do this, whatever, but they got to negotiate with the Olympics, and the Olympics has power because they're the ones with the major sponsors and they're entrenched. We all know that, like, track and field is in prime time under the bright lights when it's under the Olympic umbrella. And that's because we're under their marketing. We get to use the rings and cross promote and stuff like that. And if you ever notice, like, when the Olympics happen, World Athletics on their page, they can't really post the races. They post races from athletes at like their Diamond League meets or at World Championships because they own those rights. They don't own the Olympic footage rights. So even they can't post their own athletes that are under the World Athletics umbrella. And that's a huge problem because the biggest moments that happen are happening under the marketing that we don't even own. The product is not ours to use, you know? So it'd be like if the NBA championships happened, but the NBA Instagram can't even post it because they don't own the rights to it. It's crazy. Like our pinnacle of our sport, we don't own that. We got to change that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's our fault, and I say our. I mean, I didn't do it, but I say
Yeah.
it's us as a community. I speak from a sense of ownership that if we want it to change, we have to change it. The thing that I'll say, again, this is the quiet part out loud. The reason Pro Track has not innovated successfully is above all else because the current model, again, hey, these people don't pay me, so I can say what I want to say, is they pay the athletes at the top to make them happy enough to not want to shake up the system. 90 to 95% of the athletes that we see that we take seriously are ready to make a change. But the biggest names would have to essentially bite the hand that's feeding them in order to be a part of the insurrection.
Yeah.
And that's why like the insurrection might have to get led from the bottom up, not from the top down.
Yeah.
The GST model, the individualized model, that anything that's individualized will only work if the top athletes opt in. A league model, you can do it from the bottom down, like a team model. You just kind of have to show the product, make it, these athletes are running like it matters. And then, slowly but surely you get bigger names involved. You build it out as you go. I think like the problem is, again, people haven't seen it. So as a result, because they haven't seen it, it's hard for them to get on board with something that feels like a dream.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, the only way I could try to explain to them what they have seen is like, if you've ever watched the Big Ten or the SEC Conference Championship meet, okay, you got to see some version of team competition there. Then if you've ever watched Penn relays, USA versus the world, that was another chance where you could kind of see it. And then, yes, the Olympics did give us a taste of it where it's like this sense of they're running for something that's bigger than themselves because everybody's wearing a country. So you kind of have to see what worked in all three of those and figure out, how do I make this a television ready product that fits within 3 hours where I could pay money, go watch this meeting, then go home and eat a meal. Like, it's not like this marathon of a day. They be doing morning sessions, evening sessions. I'm like, no, nobody in track wants to be here this long. Everybody, the coaches, the athletes, the fans, the parents, nobody likes this. We all wish that we could see an event that would an actual sporting event. So enjoy it like a basketball game or a soccer game and then go about our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna get through some comments, and if you want to address any, just jump in, and then we'll switch gears here. But Melanie the Broker, hey Saints, what's up? I didn't watch any of Athlos. October is a difficult time of month after being Worlds. So many events happening. That's another thing too, is competition. It being in October, like people are over track and field if they even know that it's happening. And there's so many other sports that are back in season now. So that's another drawback of it being in October. How can I actually win the Olympics? I have all the time in the world. I live with an actual Olympic gold medal in my house. I don't want to be fit. I'm not even sure how to answer that. Does embracing the pro identity mean athletes need to stop entertaining races with streams?
That's a good one.
I got that coming up. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Athlos happening. Postseason is whack. O'Haney got rolled by Sepco. And they were getting viewed on NBC2. I was like, wow, Sha'Carri had headlines and interviews and she wasn't top 3. But every video, she has so many views.
Yeah. I mean, I'll comment on that because, I'm on YouTube so much.
Yeah.
The algorithm is exposing what people react to. So as a result, track and field, unfortunately, had actually, we pillaged ourselves by falling into the trap of trying to fracture our sport up into these individualized moments, because I get it. It was easier and it was shareable. It just wasn't marketable. So the algorithm, what it does is instead, think of it like a buffet versus a meal.
Yeah.
When you try to sell track as a buffet, people just take what they want and they leave.
Yeah.
If you actually cook a good meal, I might actually eat everything on the plate. So I think that's kind of what's been happening with, even when races get out, like even the videos that I make, sometimes there's a conversation I want to have, but I know I can't just have that conversation and anybody click on it. Yeah. So I now have to figure out, how can I put a face that's relevant and then move to the conversation I want to have.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that video is going to see 500 views.
And that same model, that same concept applies from YouTube to TV. And so they're thinking, how can we put this product on TV? Like, how can we promote this thing, market it, have the commercials, have the billboards, whatever, if we don't have a face to it? And that's why they gravitate to a Noah Lyles, to a Sha'Carri, to a Tara Davis Woodall, people who have eccentric personalities, people who make people care about it, whether you love them or hate them, you want to watch.
And they have gold medals.
They have gold medals. They have gold medals. Yeah, of course. You can't leave that out.
If you can have good personality.
Even before Sha'Carri won the Olympics, before she won Worlds, she was still that, because her story was so compelling. What happened at the trials and her not being able to go to the Olympics, like, she blew up after that. But that's a rare case. You don't really get that a lot.
I mean, she was unique. And because see, what happened is Sha'Carri broke through, like, as they say, like, she broke through, or she transcended track with everything that happened around her first Olympic trials.
Yeah.
So as a result, she had this reputation in the American media as being an entity, and that reputation was tied to what she had done at the Olympic trials, and that has now persisted. I mean, she's added to it per se, but it's almost like she earned a rep and then had to go validate the rep.
Yeah.
More than like winning first.
I want to know those numbers of the Prefontaine that year in 2021 when she came back, because that was the most marketed Diamond League I've ever seen. Like, Nike had the commercial with her with the fingernails and like, I've been waiting and stuff like that. Like, everybody was anticipating. We had the Olympic champion in the race. Shelly was there. It was like, that was almost bigger than Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching her. Even after Elaine Thompson, that was actually, it was a movie, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
Think about it. Elaine Thompson, her performance.
1054.
And Sha'Carri's interview.
Oh my God.
It was
that
box
moment.
office. That whole thing. That wasn't too bad they weren't doing sprint then.
Yeah. Oh my God.